Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Joni Ogg, and on behalf of travelprofessionalnews.com, homebasedtravelagent.com, and findahosttravelagency.com, we like to welcome all of you to today's webinar, and I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to join us. And with us today is Kelly Predmesky, Director of Key Accounts in the East for Swan Hellenic. Kelly has been working in travel for 18 years, spending the first 8 years of her career as a travel agent and a retail agency manager in New York City before moving to the supplier side of the industry. She's an avid world traveler, and when she's not out on the road, you will find her at the beach at home in West Palm Beach. Now, today's webinar topic is Swan Hellenic Pioneers of Cultural Expedition Cruising. It's a very different type of cruising. It's a beautiful experience. So we're really looking forward to this. Do remember that you're all muted, but we do welcome your questions at any time. You can just put those in the right-hand section of the screen that you see that says questions, and we'll get to those as soon as the presentation is over. So let's just go ahead and get this underway and turn the microphone over to our esteemed guest. Welcome, Kelly. Thanks for being here.
Hi, Joni. Thank you so much for having me. And welcome to all of the travel partners who have tuned in this afternoon. We know you're busy, but I have some very exciting information to share with you about Swan Hellenic. So we appreciate you. First of all, Joni already told you a little bit about me, but I want to tell you a little bit about our North America team. We are small but very mighty. That's myself and my counterpart, Eric Bacon. We are the directors of key accounts on the East and West Coast, and Eric also covers Canada as well. Between us, we have a lot of years in travel. Our fearless leader is Joe Maloney, who is a pretty well-known leader in our industry, and we're very lucky to have him leading the way for Swan Hellenic in North America. We are growing our team, and it's very exciting. We've recently brought on a director of marketing in North America, a director of group sales, and a director of operations. So in a very short amount of time, we're growing exponentially to become the best partners for you in trade. So today I'm going to give you a great introduction to who Swan Hellenic is, because we're probably a new name for most of you here. We're going to talk about our history, where does Swan Hellenic go, what the 3 pillars of the Swan Hellenic brand are, take a look at our shiny, sparkly new fleet, talk about what's included, and most importantly, what's in it for you. So a little bit about Swan Hellenic. We might be new to you, but we're actually a pretty iconic historic brand. The Swan family started Swan Tours back in 1950 in the UK, and they operated their very first cultural expeditions in the late 1950s to the Greek archaeology sites in partnership with the Hellenic Society, using academics and researchers and archaeologists from prestigious institutions like Oxford and Cambridge as the onboard lecturers for the travelers, so they could really be immersed in these places and have a great understanding of what they're seeing on their travels. So from the very beginning, Swan Hellenic has been about the immersion and the enrichment and exploration of the destination. We have a 70-year history, which is pretty impressive. You know, over 70 years, of course, a lot changes. At one point, we were owned by P&O. At one point, we were owned by the Carnival Cruise Corporation. The Swan Hellenic name ultimately stopped trading in 2017. And during this period, the current owners of what is now the rebirth of Swan Hellenic, were toying around with starting their own expedition cruise line, or buying the Swan Hellenic name, which is rather iconic around the world. So that's what they ultimately decided to do. So we are a brand new company with brand new owners, brand new operations, a brand new fleet, but staying true to what the Swan Hellenic name has always stood for. It's also important to say that we are members of some of the most important organizations in our industry, from USTOA to ASTA to the polar organizations ACO and IATO, which is really important. So let's just jump right in. Where exactly does Swan Hellenic sit in the market? There's a lot of options out there when it comes to expedition these days. And the best way, in the most simplest terms, to explain Swan Hellenic is that we marry the adventure of a true expedition with 5-star service and accommodations in a completely unpretentious way. I choose those words very deliberately. When I say a true expedition, I mean we have purpose-built ice-class vessels. 2 out of 3 of our vessels are PC5 classifications, which is a pretty serious expedition vessel, allowing us to go further into some icier nooks and crannies in certain parts of the world that some of the other luxury lines can't get to. It means with our vessels being less than 200 guests on board, we're allowed to do 2 landings per day in some of these fragile parts around the world, like Antarctica, allowing your clients to have the most immersive experience, maximizing their time in these incredible regions. And when I say 5-star service and accommodations, I mean Michelin star quality dining, service on board that rivals some of the most luxurious hotels in the world. You know, our crew is going to call your clients by name by day 2. It's extremely personalized service. And when I say in a completely unpretentious way, I mean you're going to eat that Michelin star dinner in your jeans and hiking boots if you want. There's no dress code, there's no formal nights, there's no jackets required. This is truly all about the discovery of the destination and exploring these incredible places around the world. And the luxury is happening in the background, essentially. Now, the 3 pillars of the Swan Hellenic name are explore, experience, and enrich. And this is the foundation of every expedition that we operate, no matter what part of the world that we're in. Now, we cover a lot of different corners of this planet. These are the 2 routes of the current vessels that we have in the water, the SH Vega and the SH Diana. The best way to look at this is that we operate a season in Antarctica, which that season is November through about early March, and a season in the Arctic, which is about June through September. Everything in between is almost like one big repositioning cruise between the 2 poles. So in between those seasons, we don't ever repeat an itinerary. It is constantly moving along, which is a great opportunity for back-to-backs. If you take a look at some of these places we go, they truly are spectacular. From Antarctica, the Vega will sail to Cape Town. You can actually do that 20-night crossing, going to some of the most remote islands on the planet, from the Orkney Islands to Tristan da Cunha. We sail the entire west coast of Africa to some parts that you're going to be hard-pressed to find other expedition operators going to. We are sailing through the Suez Canal to the Seychelles to Madagascar. But then we also have some of those classic cultural expedition sailings as well, going to places like the Mediterranean, Sicily, the Western Seaboard, Amsterdam to Lisbon, the British Isles, the Norwegian fjords, Iceland. In 2025, you'll look for us to add Asia and the South Pacific, but this is currently what the routes are going to look like for 2024. For 2024, we've also added some incredible sailings through Latin America, through the Chilean fjords, along the coast of Peru, Ecuador, and Colombia, through Central America, Costa Rica, and Panama. So we really do have the world covered for you. Now, when you look at that map and all the places that we go, you can kind of put the Swan Hellenic expeditions into one of 3 boxes. Our classic cultural expeditions that I mentioned, places like the Mediterranean, the Greek islands, Sicily, the Norwegian fjords, the British Isles. We have our polar expeditions in Antarctica and the Arctic, including places like Svalbard, Greenland, and the Canadian Arctic as well. And then we have our discovery expeditions, which are the really exotic places that we go in the world. And when you connect the dots of these boxes, this is really the client journey that you want your clients to go on with you. And you can do that with a partner like Swan Hellenic, gradually progressing your clients through different types of travel, different levels of travel, further and further away from home, more adventurous, more exotic, longer, higher price points. So this is a great way to look at how you can take your clients on a journey with your own brand and Swan Hellenic as your partner. Now, the second pillar to Swan Hellenic is, of course, the experiences that you're going to have on this magnificent trip style expedition. You know, expedition really captures the spirit of adventure like I've never felt in any of my travels in 18 years. Going out on a Zodiac to explore glaciers, going kayaking in Norwegian fjords, in the warm weather destinations, snorkeling coral reefs, or even hiking on all different types of terrain. The expedition activities are always included for your clients. I recently got to go to Svalbard myself, and let me tell you a little bit about this experience. Expedition activities in our polar destinations typically consist of two components. Now, I mentioned before, because all of our vessels are less than 200 guests, we are permitted to have 2 landings per day. You know, in vessel size in expedition travel is really important. So if you're just starting to dip your toe in expedition, 200 is the magic number that you should write down right now. If you are above 200 to 500 guests on board a vessel, that vessel is permitted 1 landing per day with 100 guests. If you're on a vessel 500 or more, you're not permitted any landings. So with Swan Hellenic, you really get to maximize your time and experience these places up close and personal more than any other trip style. Now, hiking is a big component of that. What was so surprising about Svalbard is every single day the terrain was different. One day we were hiking on stone beaches. The next day we were hiking on green moss tundra. And on this day, we landed our Zodiacs in a winter wonderland, and snow was covering everything for as far as the eye could see. And we took a magical hike in calf-deep snow on this day, which was spectacular. Typically, we would get off first thing in the morning around 8 a.m. to do one of the expedition activities. You know, we could be out for a few hours. It all depends. But one of the things I loved is we really catered to all the different types of guests that we had on board. So we had a short hike, a medium hike, and a long hike that our expedition leaders offered so that all of our guests could participate. We'd get back on board, eat a fabulous lunch, warm up a little, and get back ready to go out for part 2 that afternoon, which could consist of going on a Zodiac cruise. Now, going on a Zodiac was probably my favorite part of the expedition because anything is possible when you go out on a Zodiac. You could see a big piece of sea ice floating by. The bluer the ice, the older it is. That's about a 3,000-year-old piece of ice. One day, we got up to about 500 meters away from a glacier, and a walrus popped up right in front of our boat. It swam all under the Zodiac, which was spectacular. We saw beluga whales. It's just magical, and anything is possible on an expedition. Now, in the non-polar regions around the world that Swan Hellenic visits, what we do is we actually include an excursion in every single port. So that's an amazing value for your clients that allows them to automatically experience the magic of these places. Now, depending on what part of the world that we're in, those excursions could look a little different. These pictures here are from an excursion that we operated for all of our guests in the desert of Namibia. We took all of our guests about an hour and a half into the sand dunes, and we had a night under the stars, which this part of Namibia is a certified dark sky park. They put on an entire event in the middle of this incredible place with local music, live dancers, and dinner. What a night to remember. Now, if you're in a place like the Norwegian fjords, the included excursion might look a little different. In the port of Skjolden, we went up on a panoramic coach tour on the highest road in Northern Europe. The only place you could really get higher is if you were driving in the Swiss Alps. And in a place like the Norwegian fjords, you know, the goal is really to take in the beauty of these magnificent mystical landscapes. So this type of excursion showcases that. Now, for the included excursions, we typically make it an excursion that all of our guests will be able to participate in. But what I love is that we offer optional premium excursions in each port as well. So if you have clients who are more active and want to get outdoors, you could go kayaking in one of the fjords at Svartsen Glacier in Norway. And then we actually jumped in that glacial lake in our dry suits, and it was one of the most memorable days of all my travels. We went hiking up to Torghatten one day, but then we also had culinary focused excursions. So in places throughout the Mediterranean, you know, that is going to be more of the focus, focusing on the history and the archaeology, olive oil tastings, wine tastings. Recently, you might have heard, we just had one of our vessels doing a circumnavigation of Sicily, and we were actually able to include all of our guests going to see Andrea Bocelli, which was pretty spectacular. So you never know what's going to happen with Swan Hellenic. The third component to any Swan Hellenic expedition is the enrichment. And I think this is one of the main things you really need to take away from when you're talking about expedition to clients, and how different an expedition cruise is from a standard cruise. When you say cruise, you know, your client has a certain image in their head. So this is one of the really key points you need to draw out when you're speaking to your clients about what their experience is going to be like. And that really starts with our core expedition team. We typically have 12 expedition leaders on board, and all of them bring their own expertise to the table. You know, our expedition teams are comprised of marine biologists, ornithologists, professional photographers, historians, kayak specialists, geologists. They are so incredibly knowledgeable and passionate, and they really make the experience for the guests. I always like to point out one of our head expedition leaders, Dr. Anthony Jinman. I always like to recommend that you follow him on Instagram. His handle is PolarAJ, because he showcases what it looks like to be on Swan Hellenic on any given day, no matter where he is in the world. And this guy is so impressive. Get this, he is one of 12 Brits in history to ski to both the North and South poles. So he brings a lot of expedition experience to the table, and he is, let me tell you, a professional storyteller. You can listen to his stories all day, and one of the things I love that our expedition team does is they are not just there to drive the Zodiac and take people on hikes, okay? They are part of the family on board. They hang out here in the observation lounge at happy hour and talk with the guests. They join the guests for dinner in the Swan Restaurant in the evening, so that the guests can hear their one-on-one stories and get one-on-one time with these guys who have done extraordinary things in their lives. And I think that is one of the things that makes the experience so special. In addition to our core expedition team, we have some pretty incredible partnerships that further the enrichment that your clients will experience on Swan Hellenic. And I think one of the most exciting ones is with the SETI Institute. If you're not familiar with SETI, SETI is affiliated with NASA, and they are all about the exploration of extraterrestrial life and intelligence, which is so timely. So what we do with SETI is we will have guest scientists from the SETI Institute as lecturers on board select sailings. We're in the process of finalizing the 2024 sailings that will have a SETI scientist on board, but we do have one left in 2022, which will be on our Spirit of Antarctica departure on December 22nd. with Dr. Dava Newman. I mean, talk about impressive. She heads up labs at MIT and Harvard, and she will be giving 3 different lectures on board, including covering the topics of humanity becoming interplanetary, exploration via sea and space, Antarctic extreme science and exploration, and Antarctica from air, sea, and space, the latest scientific results. So to have access to some of the foremost experts on this incredible topic in the world, I mean, that's pretty impressive to have these types of scientists at your fingertips. And the other really exciting partnership that we have is a culinary partnership with a group called Junis Restaurateurs. And with JRE, we have designed a program called Marries at Sea, where in 2023, we actually invited 13 different chefs on board select sailings from JRE. And what JRE is it is basically a consortia of European chef-owned restaurants with the hottest trending chefs in Europe right now. And out of the 375 restaurants that are part of this organization, together they combined have about 180 Michelin stars, which is quite impressive. So when these chefs are on board select sailings, they will put on an entire gala night one night. They will do cooking demonstrations. They could be taking your clients to the market with them, hosting culinary excursions. It's a growing partnership, and I think the possibilities are endless. We're also finalizing the list for 2024. So if you are specializing in culinary groups or wine tasting groups, this is right up your alley, and you will be able to pick one of the departures with a JRE chef on board to really create a tailored experience for your clients. Now let's take a look at our fleet. We have 2 ships in the water right now, 3 ships total. The SH Vega and the SH Minerva are identical, which I love. And they both have 152 guests maximum. The Diana is our newest vessel. She came out in May 2023. I mean, our oldest vessel is from December 21. So they're some of the newest vessels out on the waters right now in terms of expedition. They are spectacular. In 2022, we had a guest who was an admiral in the US Navy, and he called the Vega a technological marvel, which I would say is a very high compliment coming from him. You know, all of these vessels are built for the future. They are built some of the cleanest sustainable features in terms of dynamic GPS anchoring. They're battery ready, so when the technology catches up, the ship is ready to go for emission-free silent sealing in places like wildlife and marine reserves. We have some of the most advanced wastewater treatment systems on board these vessels that you've ever seen. And of course, the sustainability practices on board are also key to our operations. You know, it really is our responsibility to take care of these places that we're going to. The Vega, again, has 152 guests, 120 crew. You know, when you look at the averages that we're going to end up sailing with, it's almost a 1-to-1 guest to crew ratio. I think it's also important to say that both the Vega and the Minerva are PC5 polar class vessels. A lot of the luxury vessels out there in expedition are PC6. So this means that we have really a serious expedition vessel that can go further into harder to get to places than a lot of the other luxury players out there. We have 12 expedition leaders on board and 8 kayaks. The Diana is the newest vessel. She is just slightly larger with 192 guests maximum and 140 crew. All of the inventory on board, you know, 80% of it is balconies. We do have some ocean views, but no interiors. The Diana is a PC6 polar class vessel. So she's still a serious expedition vessel. We do take her into the polar regions, but she was also designed for the Mediterranean in mind. And that is why we put 2 proper tenders that hold 45 passengers each on her. So when we're going throughout some of these places in the Mediterranean or East Africa, we actually have our own tenders on board, which is a great amenity, especially for some guests that have maybe more mobility challenges. They won't be having to get on and off a Zodiac in these places. Now, what I love about our fleet is they're very uniform, making it easier for you to get to know our product and sell. It also means that if your client loves one of our vessels, they're going to love all of our vessels, and the experience and inclusions on board are uniform across the fleet. So it doesn't vary by ship. All the public areas, the decor is the same. The names of the spaces are the same. So we're consistent across the board. Let's start with one of my favorite spots, the Swan's Nest. This is where you feel like you are at the center of the universe. It is engineered to block the wind out. So even when we're sailing through the polar regions, you can stand up there and spot polar bears with your binoculars, whale watch, and you're not going to freeze to death. We've tested it out. It's one of my favorite spots on the ship. You can even lean over and see the icebreaker, which is pretty cool. The observation lounge is truly the heart and soul of the vessel. This is the communal space where everyone hangs out when we are on board. It's where all the lectures take place. One of the things about our fleet is it's very technologically advanced. We have the big screen here. When the lectures aren't happening, we're live streaming the bow. When we had our polar bear spotting in Svalbard, they were live streaming the polar bear that was in front of the vessel, which was really cool. You know, there's USB ports, US plugs, European plugs hidden all over this room. So it's a very comfortable, convenient place. If you'll notice on the edges, it's all huge panoramic windows. The whole philosophy with the design of the vessel is so that our guests never lose touch with the environment that we're sailing through. You're going to see everything we're sailing by when you're even sitting in this room. Now, another feature that I love is that right outside this room, behind those windows, there are custom built-in benches that are set in, protecting guests from the wind, that have heaters overhead. So the vessels have been built to truly utilize the outdoor deck space. So even when you're on board, it's still part of the immersion. It's still part of the experience, taking in these incredible landscapes that we're sailing through with our intimate vessels. There's so many design features that had been thought of, and you guys know the luxury is in the details. To have built-in heaters overhead the benches outside, I mean, genius, right? The library is another great nook and cranny on board. There's technology hookups all over this room. There's great literature down here. It's a great place to escape and get some peace and quiet. We do have a science lab on board, which is a great touch. You know, one of the other areas of enrichment that we offer is we have a citizen science program on board that one of our expedition leaders heads up. So oftentimes the guests will be able to participate in collecting data that we actually send back to organizations like Cornell University or NASA. They're collecting research from these remote places that Swan Hellenic is traveling to. Oftentimes we'll even have scientists who are basically hitching a ride with Swan Hellenic to some of these remote places who could be down in the lab, and guests will be able to come down here and learn about the different projects and research that they're working on themselves. The Basecamp is the guts of the ship. This is where you prepare for epic adventures every single day on deck 3. It's where you board the Zodiacs from. It's a really spacious, well-designed area. Every single stateroom has their own locker down here, so you can store all your gear and don't have to drag it up to your stateroom twice a day, which is really nice and convenient. Of course, we give you the Swan Hellenic branded parkas. It's double layer. There's a detachable insulated liner that you can take out. It's waterproof, it's windproof, and all of the guests can take these home with them. So you can hang that in your locker. We give you the muck boots on land for the duration of the expedition and the polar expeditions. You can keep those in your locker. You know, we have water refill stations all over the vessel, one of them being right here. So you can fill up your stainless steel water bottle right here at Basecamp before you board the Zodiac and go out on a Zodiac cruise or out on a hike for the day. You know, everything has been thought of, and one of the things is the music. Even the team has the playlist that gets everyone pumped up to go out on adventures every single day. And when you get back on board, the crew is waiting with hot tea or coffee and Baileys for the guests to get back. Now let's talk about food. Swan Hellenic has an incredible culinary program that rivals some of the best restaurants in the world. You know, our executive culinary team, we have a 3 Michelin star chef on board. Okay, it's very impressive. We have our main restaurant, the Swan Restaurant, where you eat almost all of your meals. Breakfast is served here. It is buffet style, but we have everything you need: made to order eggs Benedict, made to order omelets and eggs, a whole oatmeal bar, a whole fruit bar, a hot bar, you know, made to order waffles and pancakes. Lunch is also a buffet on a daily basis, and that's because you're getting on and off the vessel in your expedition gear, and it's just logistically easier. But I mean, the buffets are spectacular quality. On the final evening, we do have a captain's farewell dinner, and it is buffet, but we're talking like unlimited king crab legs on the buffet. Okay, it's of the highest quality. Dinner on a nightly basis is sit down fine dining, and it is wonderful. We're talking 5 courses of heaven. And you know, we source a lot of our food in certain destinations around the world locally, which is wonderful to see. The club lounge is another area of the vessel. It's right across from the observation lounge where you can grab a quick meal. It has the most important machine on the vessel, the espresso machine. So the early risers can come here in the club lounge and grab a coffee, sit next to the electric artificial fireplace on the Vega, which is a great touch. Again, the design features are fantastic. They put out light breakfast in the club lounge. There's always light snacks out in the club lounge, light sandwiches or homemade pizzas for lunch. And they freaking book out cookies in between all the meals. But my favorite is every day at 3:30, there is high tea, and it is to die for. Homemade scones, clotted cream, like 10 different types of cake. It gets me every single time. So the club lounge is another great place that is very cozy to hang out in when you're on board. Now, right outside the club lounge is the aft deck pool on deck 7, and we do have another dining area here with some great lounge areas. We do have tables set up, and we will set up tables for lunch and dinner out here pending the weather. But there's a lot of sunny days in even the polar regions, and we do love to utilize the space when we're sailing through magical landscapes. On one part of the pool deck, there is even a panel of outdoor heaters, so we really can utilize this space. On nice days, we'll host a barbecue out here for lunch with brats and burgers and homemade pizzas and potato salad. Now, one of the things I love about Swan Hellenic is you're going to get a true expedition. You're going to get your hands dirty. It's an active expedition. But when you get back on board, we have all the luxury amenities that your clients want to still have an elevated experience. Now, for having such a small ship, the fitness center is great. It's pretty spacious. We have spin bikes, we have a rowing machine, we have a treadmill, an elliptical, we have dumbbells and free weights, a few machines, yoga mats, all sorts of bands. We have a full spa and beauty salon. You could get any type of massage you want. If you break a nail on a Zodiac, you can go get your nails done in the salon. Men, you could get your beard trimmed on board if you're on a longer expedition. We have a fabulous sauna. Again, it's always about the guest never losing touch with the environment. So you're always facing out, massive panoramic windows. On the Diana, we also have a steam bath directly across from the sauna, which is unique to the Diana. We have showers and changing rooms right around the corner from the sauna and steam bath as well. We have the infinity pool right on the aft of deck 7, and it is heated in the polar regions. So oftentimes it will be just as hot as the jacuzzi. So this could be your view. And then of course the jacuzzi is right outside the window from the sauna and the spa. And it's definitely a place where everyone congregates when you get back on board from a Zodiac cruise. Now let's take a look at the staterooms. All of the staterooms, no matter the category, have some fabulous amenities. We're very digital on board, so we're not going to be printing paper programs every day. There's interactive TVs with the daily program every day. What I love is we offer a whole movie program on the TV. So even in places where there might not be satellite TV like Svalbard, you can choose from like 200 different movies on the interactive TV. We have a pillow menu. The bathrobes are heaven. Every single stateroom has its own Illy coffee machine and tea kettle. Room service is included in the cruise fare 24/7. We have a laundrette on deck 4 that's complimentary to all of the guests. So if they want to do some laundry while they're on board, they can, free of charge. And it's great for some of these polar expeditions as well. If your gloves get wet, you can pop them in the dryer, or if you're on a longer expedition and you need to do some laundry, it's very convenient. Now, one of my favorites is that every single stateroom includes a pair of binoculars, which are important when the captain comes over the PA system and says that they've spotted a polar bear. You want to be able to grab your binoculars and run out of your room. So I love that we include this for all of our guests. And last, there is a mini fridge restocked on a daily basis, and it's included for you. You can customize it with your stateroom attendant. If you're a Diet Coke addict, you can fill it with Diet Coke, or if you want some beers and wine, it's up to you. Let's start at the top end with the premium suite. We have 2 premium suites on board, 528 square feet. One of the great touches that we have at Swan Hellenic is an electric artificial fireplace in every single stateroom on the Vega and the Minerva. We do have them currently on the suites on the Diana, but we're working to install them in the rest of the staterooms by the end of this year. So soon they will be in every stateroom in our fleet, which is a great touch. In the suites, it's a king size bed. The sofa does pull out. There is a massive rain shower and a bathtub and a walk-in closet. The standard suite's 474 square feet. Again, king size bed, separate living area from your sleeping area. The junior suites are unique to just the Diana, 377 square feet. We do have some connecting suites as well. So some of our suites might connect to a junior suite, which is a nice touch if you have larger families traveling together. The balcony category is the most prevalent category, and even this category, 302 square feet. You can see the decor throughout the vessel is all neutrals and pops of warm, a lot of wood, a lot of metal. It's contemporary chic. And what I love is it's just a warm, welcoming environment. I like to say you feel like you're allowed to sit on the couch. You know, a lot of luxury these days feels very moody, but you feel at home on board Swan Hellenic. If you look on the right-hand side, all of those wood panels, those are all cabinets. The rooms have incredible amounts of storage, okay? So much space. 2 cedar wood wardrobers in a stateroom, cedar wood hangers, storage even next to the bed. There's a vanity that is hidden in that desk. There's the sitting area with a table. And if you see, there's a double set of curtains. So if you do have someone sleeping on the Pilates sofa, you can pull those curtains closed for a little bit of privacy. But it's also great to have the double layer in some of these places where there's the midnight sun that we're sailing through. The lowest category we have is ocean view, and it's still 205 square feet, okay? So very spacious, panoramic windows, huge windows. So even the lowest category is of great quality, beautifully designed. There's technology hookups all over the stateroom, USB ports, US plugs, European plugs right next to the bed. It's all exactly where you want it to be. What's included? Should really say what's not included. We really are an all-inclusive expedition company, which makes the value so amazing for your clients. And it also means you're making commission on a lot more because it's included for your clients. One of the things I love is we include a pre-cruise hotel night on every expedition, no matter what part of the world we're talking about. So that's always included for your clients. We include all the airport transfers and port transfers in select parts of the world, mostly in the Arctic. In Antarctica, we do include some regional flights. It could be commercial air or charter flights. It depends on the sailing. Of course, your accommodations on board, all of your meals on board, room service on board 24/7, all of your drinks on board. So it's not just at lunch and dinner. 24/7, your drinks are included: beer, wine, cocktails, spirits, coffee, espresso drinks, juices, soda, all included for you. The only extra cost there would be is if you want top shelf, there is a supplemental fee. But I'll tell you that the inclusive menu is extensive. There's over 30 varieties of wine, to give you an idea. Our lecture programs are included for you, the expedition activities, the Zodiac cruising, the hikes, the included excursion per port of call, the parka, the use of the rubber boots, the dry bag, the water bottle. Wi-Fi is included, and all the onboard gratuities and taxes are included. Now, what's in it for you? There are no NCFs. The total gross cruise fare is commissionable for you. Our default commission is 10%, and it goes up from there based on if we have a preferred agreement with your agency or consortia. We pay 5% commission on additional hotel nights, pre or post cruise or transfers, or on pre-booked optional excursions, which is a fantastic way to maximize your commission. We have great back-to-back cruise opportunities with discounted pricing per segment. I think the fact that we're so uniform and consistent across the fleet makes it easy to work with Swan Hellenic, and it means that we can build more loyalty with your clients and they'll keep coming back to book with you again. And we have a very rich groups offer, which is fantastic. 5 cabins, double occupancy gets you 1 free cabin, not 1 free berth, 1 free cabin, which is huge. And you know, we really are trade focused. This is where our business is coming from. This is where we're investing in our partnerships with you. Now let's get to some of the great promotions that we have going on right now. Just within the last week, we had our launch promo for 2024. We have up to 50% off on select departures in 2024 on sailings all around the world. I just put a few to spotlight them here. We have Iceland in depth starting from about $6,100. Svalbard from $6,269 per person. Greenland from $6,400. We have some great sailings through Latin America, Peru to Panama from right over $6,000. Secrets of Sicily from $5,551, which is an amazing value, and South Africa from $7,500. So those are the starting prices, and those are just very few of some of the sailings I wanted to call attention to. The offer is running through November, it's on sailings departing by November 15th in 2024. I also wanted to let you know about some fantastic last minute opportunities. So if you are trying to get a few more sales on the books in 2023 to reach your goals, we have some amazing opportunities for you. Right now, the prices on these last minute sailings are 2 for 1 and no single supplement. So we have some options in the Mediterranean, Istanbul to Limassol at the end of this month from $3,400 per person. We go through the Suez Canal from Limassol to Jeddah, touching Egypt and Jordan from $4,000 per person. That's in October. We go to the Seychelles which is an amazing itinerary in late October for 40 to 95 per person. And Madagascar, I mean, what a dream destination, from $3,900 per person. South Africa from $2,900 per person. And the big crossing from Cape Town to Ushuaia, where you'll get to visit some of those really remote islands in the world. That's a 20-night expedition for $7,600. And all of these are no single supplement, which is incredible. Again, I wanted to put my contact details and Eric's contact details. Eric covers the West Coast in Canada, and I cover the East Coast, which generally entails the Midwest as well. So those are our two email addresses. We work very closely as a team, so we work together to support you. So please don't hesitate, just email one of us and we'll get you the information that you need. And last, we do have a great Facebook community of our travel partners that you can join to stay connected with us, learn about our promotions, our training opportunities. It's Swan Hellenic North America Travel Advisors. And that's all I have for you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Wonderful. Oh, Kelly, that was amazing. I just want to go. That's all there is to it. I'm just really seriously thinking I need to do this. Fantastic presentation, and you made it so exciting. I loved it. So I do have a few questions for you today.
Okay.
This first question was, are there any remaining COVID policies in place, seeing that COVID variants are trying to find their way out there?
Right now, we have not made any changes, no.
Okay. Good. Okay, great. Do you know when 2025 itineraries are going to be released?
We're working very hard to get to that. We anticipate releasing 24-25 Antarctica, hopefully later this month. And then the rest of the 25 deployment should not be too much longer after that. It should happen this fall. Wonderful. So pretty soon.
Perfect. Let's see, is there a minimum age for any itinerary?
So we typically do allow kids 8 and older. If they're under 8, you just have to sign a waiver. And I also want to touch on the fact that I got to travel in Svalbard with one of my travel advisors' 8-year-old son. And after experiencing that firsthand, I predict that family travel, multi-gen travel on expedition is the next biggest trend in our industry. Because, I mean, taking an 8-year-old out on a Zodiac yelling, "Let's go faster," was one of the most fun things I've ever got to do in my life. And it's an education in itself, getting to see these places. So I think if you have families that do a lot of traveling, putting them on a Swan Hellenic expedition as their next trip is a game changer.
That's a great idea. I love that idea. And I'm sure that was very exciting to have him screaming, "Let's go faster."
Awesome.
I love it. Yeah. What a great memory, huh? And he'll never forget that. Wow, that's amazing.
No.
All right. Let's see. The question is, if our clients are not tech savvy or don't use smartphones, do you ever print the programs out for them? Because I know you said that everything was pretty much digital.
Listen, the TVs are very easy to use. You don't have to be tech savvy, but if a guest does ask, our reception to print something out, they will.
Okay, perfect. All right. Let's see. Someone says they have a client ready to book Costa Rica, Panama in April of 24, and they're just a little concerned about water levels. At what point will you know if this is a confirmed sailing?
If you're referring to like the Panama Canal, we don't go through the Panama Canal.
Okay, her question mentioned that, so maybe she can come back on and clarify if she wants to change that question up. All right. Northern Light voyages, rain check guarantee, if not seen, January through March.
So we don't have any sailings that concentrate on the Northern Lights, because during the typical season for that in the winter, our vessels are down in Antarctica. I know recently people have been able to see some of the Northern Lights, and we do have a vessel, in Greenland towards this time of the year, but that's not really any specific expeditions we promote for the Northern Lights.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for clarifying that. Do you offer any seminars at sea?
If you're interested in a FAM or a TA rate, you just need to reach out to either myself or Eric. It is a vetted process because we do want to make sure that we get the right travel advisors on Swan Hellenic who have a plan on how they're going to sell us when they get home. So if you do reach out to us, that's something you want to kind of think about and know that we'll be looking for that.
Perfect. Well, you should. That's the right thing to do. You want to make sure you get the folks that are really going to promote the product correctly. All right, so I think that's pretty much it for the questions. Somebody did make a comment that I did want to share with you, though. She says, "You're an incredible presenter. Thank you for speaking slowly and clearly so that she can write down notes and see your slides and understand you the very first time. Thank you for not rushing, Kelly." Well, that's a pretty nice compliment,
Oh my
Kelly.
gosh.
It's a perfect
Well,
ending to
thank
your
you.
webinar. You did a great job. You really did. You really kept me engaged, and I listened to a lot of webinars. You kept me listening to every bit of this. Thank you so very much. Do you have any last words you'd like to share with the crowd on here?
I just want to say that Eric and I are both really passionate and excited to be working for Swan Hellenic to bring this incredible product to the North American market. And we really are looking for travel advisors that we can grow strong partnerships with. So if you feel like Swan Hellenic is in your wheelhouse, please set up a one-to-one meeting with Eric or I so that we can create a plan together and invest time in you and our partnership. We're small but mighty. So please reach out to us and so that we can connect with you.
That's perfect. I love it. Well, thank you everybody for being online today and watching this great webinar and listening to Kelly present. Again, somebody else said you're a great presenter. So you really rocked this thing, Kelly. Thank you. I'm looking forward to for everybody. Just so you know, we do record the webinars. So in case you wanted to watch this again, you can always see the recorded webinars at our website, travelprofessionalnews.com. in the recorded webinars area under the supplier webinars. That'll be available about 2 hours from now if you wanted to rewatch this at any time. So fantastic. Thank you, Kelly, so much. And everybody have a great rest of your day.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.